Last night was the Michigan primary, and Donald Trump faced a fierce battle with Nikki Haley. I say fierce, but he won decisively, and it's presumed that many of the people who voted for Nikki Haley were actually Democrats who just didn't like Joe Biden. Now, here's where it gets really funny. In the city of Dearborn, Michigan, Joe Biden lost to no one. No, like literally, he lost to no one. Hold on. I'm not saying he didn't lose. I'm saying uncommitted got more votes than Joe Biden in the city of Dearborn, Michigan. This is a heavily Muslim city, and they're very upset about what's going on with the war between Israel and Hamas, I should say. Now, in the entirety of the Michigan primary, they say 100,000 people voted uncommitted. That's just about 14% of the vote. Here's what I absolutely love. You've got these articles popping up saying, the Wall Street Journal reports, this is a big warning sign for Trump and Joe Biden. I got to stop you there. No, this is a big warning sign for Joe Biden. Why are people voting for Nikki Haley? Do you expect me to believe that people are voting for Nikki Haley because they don't like Trump? Okay, sure. I'm not an idiot. Some people absolutely are Republicans who don't like Trump, so they're voting for Nikki Haley. But we know for a fact a large portion of current primary voters in the states where there have been primaries are Democrats who voted for Joe Biden in 2020 who are voting for Nikki Haley now for a couple of reasons. One, they want Trump to lose, and voting for Nikki Haley sabotages Trump in the primary. Not enough. Trump will still be the Republican nominee, and the polls, the betting odds, everything has him winning. Now, of course, it's Trump's to lose, and a lot can change between now and then. So we will see. I think y'all don't count your chickens before they hatch. There's a shadow campaign underway, just like Time Magazine said in 2020. There is more than meets the eye. Now, that being said, when the other reason that people are voting for Trump, a component of the reason why is because they don't want Joe Biden. Democrats who don't care for Biden don't care to vote for him, so they're willing to sabotage Trump. To be fair, a large portion probably think he's going to win anyway. What's the point? And they're sabotage votes. But the real issue here is not a warning to Donald Trump. It's a warning to Joe Biden. If you lose Dearborn, Michigan, I think it was a massive number. I don't know what the number was, but Joe Biden lost in Dearborn. Michigan showed 14%. It's 14%. It's like 13 point something. 13 point something percent of voters, about 14%, voted uncommitted in protest of Biden's handling of Israel and Gaza, Palestine. Yeah, I'm sorry, my friends. Double digits, whether it was 10 or 99, but like 10%, that's a political death sentence. If this translates into the Muslim population at large, I mean, even if Joe Biden loses 1 or 2%, he is done, let alone 14. So this is big news, baby. Here we go. Reuters reports Michigan's 100,000 uncommitted votes show Israel impact on Biden. Joe Biden's campaign and top Democratic officials vowed to double down on efforts to win over voters as the U.S. president aims to solve conflicts in the Middle East after Michigan registered a stronger than anticipated protest vote over his support of Israel. About 13.2% of Michigan Democrats cast a ballot for uncommitted in the primary, following a weeks-long push by activists, an Edison research tally showed early Wednesday morning. Now, hold on. I thought it was a little bit more than that. Oh, okay, I was wrong. I thought the report said 13.7. So I don't want to round up to 14. Let's round down to 13. Let's say 13%. Doesn't change all that much about what my point is. At 13%, if half of that translates to the general, Biden can't win. Done. If Biden loses 3%, done, can't win. That's just, it's crazy, but we're talking about razor thin margins here. With about 85% of all votes counted, the uncommitted vote was already over 100,000 votes, far higher than expectations. Turnout for the Democratic primary was also high at some 900,000 voters overall. About 81% of those votes backed Biden. Biden's campaign will continue to make our case in the state to both uncommitted voters and the entire Michigan constituency. The president will continue to work for peace in the Middle East. Biden's staunch support for Israel's during its 5-month war. I don't know. That's a typo, I guess. With Hamas that has decimated Gaza and sparked outrage, as well as organized backlash among progressive Democrats and Arab Americans, with Michigan as their epicenter. They asked Biden to push for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza and for sympathetic Democrats to vote uncommitted in the primary to signal Biden could lose their support in the November general election, aiming for 10,000 votes, a low figure historically. About 20,000 uncommitted votes were cast in Michigan's 2012 Democratic primary. The last time a Democratic president was up for re-election in Michigan. Biden won Michigan by less than 3% in 2020, and some polls showed likely Republican candidate Donald Trump ahead in a head-to-head matchup this time. Interestingly, there are a lot of individuals that you normally would expect to support Joe Biden supporting Donald Trump. A lot of Muslims as well. And you got to ask, why? Why? I mean, Trump's way more pro-Israel than Biden is. Yeah. And that's true. And that will play a role in Trump not getting support from many of the same people. But the Democrats are also supporting far left policies, gender ideology, LGBTQ stuff. And the more conservative leaning religious Muslim voters are choosing Donald Trump over Joe Biden. That's a reality. I don't know if enough, but not afraid of voters. Hamas fighters killed 1,200 people and captured 253 hostages on October 7th, according to Israeli tallies, triggering Israel's ground assault. We know. Michigan Democratic officials vowed to do more to win over voters. Tomorrow is the first day of this general election. We are not afraid of people participating in democracy. We're not afraid of voters. We're not afraid of people who are ready to speak out in good faith, blah, blah, blah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it translates to this. Detroit Free Press, with one precinct in Dearborn remaining, uncommitted, is beating Biden in the city. Dearborn, of course, for those that know, is heavily Muslim. So I wonder if they have the actual full tally here. They say uncommitted in Dearborn was 56%, while Biden had received 40%, according to the results posted on the city clerk's website. Well, let's pull that up right now. So it looks like we have their results. Joe Biden with 40.37, uncommitted with 56.22. And this is, it looks like 11,000 votes in the entire state. Ladies and gentlemen, 100,000 people. You also need to factor in that many of those Nikki Haley voters are Democrat protest voters as well. Many Democrats who are like, Joe Biden's not it. I'll take Nikki Haley. No kidding. There's a viral video. And I know this is not the main talking point people are saying, but it's true. There's a viral video of a guy who says that he's always voted Democrat. There's actually a bunch of videos. People are like, I've always voted Democrat, but Joe Biden, he can't win. He's not mentally sound. You know, Nikki Haley probably won't win. There's a lot of people who have been expressing, but Nikki Haley is better. You also have people who are saying, you know, the inverse as well. And that's why I think this matters. Like, that's why I don't normally, this is not the main talking point. They say Trump is bad, so I'm going to vote Democrat as well. But if Joe Biden is getting 100,000 uncommitted votes, he can't win. If that translates to the general, he can't win. And Michigan, a very important swing state, of course. Biden won the Michigan primary decisively, but not by enough to calm Democrat angst. This is from Politico. But here's where things get fun. The Wall Street Journal. Michigan wins carry warning signs for Biden and Trump. Really? All right, let's hear it. Each campaign needs to shore up support after Biden faces protest votes over Gaza and some college-educated Republicans can resist Trump. Both President Biden and former President Donald Trump drew sizable protest votes as they secured victories in Michigan's primaries Tuesday. Now comes the crucial question in the battleground state. What will those voters do in November? Although Biden faced minimal opposition in the primary, an effort to persuade voters to cast ballots as uncommitted garnered tens of thousands of votes as Michiganders went to the polls. The vote marked one of the more high-profile protests to date over the president's handling of Israel-Hamas war. For the Trump team, all right, let's hear it. Michigan offered a chance to see if the former president could improve on his support among voters with a 4-year degree, a notable weak spot in the 2024 Republican primary contests. Some of those problems for Trump appeared to gain on Tuesday night as his opponent, Nikki Haley, captured close to 30% of the vote, just days after getting close to 40% in her home state of South Carolina. I don't care. I don't buy it. This is a manipulation. Take a look at this. ABC News. This is from the 26th, so the day before the primary. Nikki Haley argues Trump not getting 40% of primary voters is clue he'd lose to Biden. What does that even mean? What does that headline mean? Not getting the 40% she got, or not reaching the 40% threshold? What is this? Former U.S. Ambassador Nikki Haley keeps losing to Trump by double digits, but the fact the former president has only managed to reach 60% of the vote in the contested races so far should be taken as a warning sign, Haley said on Monday. And this is the game they're playing. Donald Trump, as technically the Republican incumbent, did not win 40% of the vote. So what she's saying is, of the 40% of people who voted for her, he didn't win them over. So what you are looking at is something shifting, and this has been happening for a while. Haley was reiterating an argument she'd been making more and more, including the previous night in Troy, Michigan, that even though she has yet to win a state for the race in the Republican presidential nomination, and her path to catching Trump looks all but gone, a notable minority of conservative voters are signaling that they want someone other than Trump and they deserve an alternative. I know 40% is not 50%, but I also know that 40% is not some tiny group. In the next 10 days, another 21 states and territories will speak. They have the right to a real choice, not a Soviet-style election with only one candidate. This is just the stupid. She is such a despicable person. Such a manipulation of what's going on. Man, Nikki Haley is just so awful. You know, it's funny. Ron DeSantis is no longer part of the equation, but his base, we all know about that. But let's be real. A large portion of the people voting for Nikki Haley are Democrats. It's no secret. Even CNN reported this, interviewing people in New Hampshire who said, I'm a Democrat, I vote Democrat, but I'm voting for Nikki Haley to sabotage Trump. And now you're coming out, Nikki Haley, and saying, look, 40% of conservatives, that's a lie. And you know it. Here we go from the New York Times. Top Democratic donor Reid Hoffman gives $250,000 to a Nikki Haley super PAC. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. This story, of course, from December 5th. Y'all know it. We had a member's message, a super chat message on IRL, Timcast IRL last night. And they said, Nikki Haley's coming to my college campus. What should I ask her? Riley Moore of West Virginia, probably going to be a member of Congress soon, at the end of the year, said, he's state treasurer now. Ask her why she's accepting money or fundraising off of Reid Hoffman, Democratic donor. It's a tough question, because what she'll say is, hey, I have nothing to do with these super PACs. The real question is, why do you think Democrats are donating to you and voting for you? Now, that's a good question. Why? Because there's only one of two answers. She can say, to sabotage Donald Trump in the primary elections. She does that weird thing with her teeth when she talks. She won't say that, though. She'll say, you know, many Democrats also don't want Joe Biden, so they're willing to vote Republican. I'm bringing Democrats into the fold to vote Republican for me. And let her say that. Let her say that, because that breaks the narrative. When she tries to come out and claim that Donald Trump not getting these votes is proof that people want to change, force her to admit, actually, it's Democrats that are supporting you and voting for you. So that's just plumb not true. It's a dirty game. These Democrat voters, come November, are going to vote Joe Biden in the general. And that is, assuming Joe Biden makes it to the general. It's only the end of February. There's some speculation that Biden wouldn't make it to Super Tuesday. That Super Tuesday would be the day that something happens and Biden drops out. I don't know if you saw him on Seth Meyers. Holy, it is so cringe. Seth Meyers is like, you're 81. And he's like, hey, you know, so the other guy is about as old as I am. And I'm like, yeah, that's not helping your case, brother. He's still a little younger, but I didn't help in your case. And then he's like, he also can't remember the name of his wife. And everyone laughs. And it's like, my guy, Joe Biden, listen, if you're trying to reinforce the seal clapping voters of the Seth Meyers audience, fine. But if you're trying in any way to convince people that you're capable, that ain't it, Mr. Trudenash Shabbat pressure, Batacaf care and next now recent. Now, many of you may be new to politics and you're saying, look, it's an election season, so I started watching. What did you just say, Tim? Next now recent, Batacaf care, Trudenash Shabbat pressure. Yeah, Trudenash Shabbat pressure. Those are words Joe Biden has said. I have no idea what he was trying to say. Some people speculate True international cooperation under pressure, maybe. But I have no idea because it's like, together we can bring about true international under pressure. What? Okay, and then you go on Seth Meyers, probably hopped up on goofballs. I shouldn't say goofballs, because uppers. That guy, look, man. Biden probably sleeps, 13, 14 hours a day. They wake him up for the 1 hour a day to have him do work. He probably rests most of the week because he does not have the energy. I feel he's an old man. He's an old man, right? Look, I'm going to be 38 in like a week and a half. 38 years old. And I'm starting to take my health more seriously. I recently hired a personal trainer. Just yesterday. Because I'm like, we got to go full steam, maybe. I'm not 19. I'm not going to jump off a building like I used to. That's what I used to say. Skateboard, jump off a building. Getting old. So now, should have done it when you were younger. That's the mistake. My advice to anybody who's younger is train now. And man, it's really tough because it's funny because I heard the same thing. I just didn't know what to do, when I was younger. Now that I'm 38 and learning more, reading more, talking to people more, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get a personal trainer. I skate all the time, but I'm like, let's well round out all of it. That's the advice I give everybody. And if you are young, I will warn you of this. Older folks always tell younger folks to train and get in shape now. And they think, I feel great. I don't need to do that. Now, the point is, as you get older, I know everyone said it to me, and I was just like, I don't care now, right? I'm 20 years old. I feel great. I'll worry about that when I'm older. It's like, yeah, but no joke, you could feel better. That's the crazy thing. Like, I'm actually skating better than I've ever skated in my life, taking care of my body, eating the right amount of protein. And so that's the thing, man. Here's why I bring all that up, to stop the personal health stuff and get back into the news. At a certain point, your recovery periods start taking longer and longer, depending on the workouts you're doing, the exercise you're doing. Back in the day, I could jump off a building 3 times, when you're skating and you're jumping off of jumping from large heights, you do that 30 times in one day before you finally get, whatever trick you're trying to do. And then the next day you're out skating again. Yeah, not no more. No, because if I do a hard session to get something on film, the next day I'm like, it's rest day. And 38, man, as you get older, you don't have the same level of recovery. Now think about where Joe Biden is at 81. You put him in a wheelchair with a burlap blanket, a blanket on his lap, wheel him into the sun. It's going to take him 7 or 8 days to get back up to 1 or 2 hours of high function, if he can even muster high function at all anymore. And I'm not trying to be a dick. Trump certainly seems a bit more spry than Joe Biden, which is very strange. Trump's got energy. Isn't that crazy? Like, you watch Trump speak and you're like, man, this guy's like, he's 78 or what? How old is Trump? I think he's 78. Let me double check. Trump age. 77. Sorry, 77. I mean, he's an old guy. Here's the important thing to understand. This is not good news for Trump either. Watch videos of Joe Biden speaking in 2020. And he was speaking. This is 4 years ago. This is back when Joe Biden was 77. Sure, he was still a little off, and people made fun of him about his weird stories and his creepy stories. He had that one video where he's like, this is my sister, and he points to his wife, and he's like, oh no, they switched on me. And I'm like, oh. He didn't realize his wife was standing next to him. That's not a big deal, is it? But it is a sign. 4 years later, the man can barely stay awake. His eyes are all squinted, and he's like, listen. Trump is near his old line. Come on, man. He's really starting to fade. He will not make it another term. That is a fact. I don't think Joe Biden will make it through the year. Now, we got great medical technology. We can certainly extend his life beyond its normal years. But the man has a plate in his brain or whatever. He's already fading fast. And he already was hiding in 2020 because he was so frail and old. And now here we are. Trump's 77. But he's still spry, still doing these rallies, and he's still hitting these talking points. If Trump gets elected this year, by the time he finishes his term, I think he will be a much older and weaker man. As you get older, it is an exponential decline. And that's what we're witnessing with Joe Biden, to the point where he is incapable of doing the job. That's where we're heading. I don't see how Joe Biden makes it. I really don't. And right now, you've got people in this country suffering economically. They try to claim over and over again in the media that, no, things are great. Things are great. Bidenomics is working. Yeah, Bidenomics is working. Kellogg's CEO is slammed for suggesting Americans should eat cereal for dinner to save money. Holy crap. I'm not going to blame the Kellogg's CEO for this. Not at all. I'm going to say, you know what, man? Respect to the Kellogg's CEO for saying this. He knows, despite all of the media reports about the economy doing well, he knows Americans are hurting. He wants to sell his product. I can respect that. And he says, have you considered eating cereal for dinner? Why not? I wonder what their CEO is having for dinner. Oh, he's having steak. You know what? For a while, I was a big filet mignon guy. And people tell me it's filet mignon or you got it, ribeye is better. It's got more of that steak flavor. And then I discovered pan-seared tenderloin. That's it. That is it, baby. Thinly sliced, pan-seared tenderloin, medium rare. That's what you have for dinner. If you can afford it in this economy, I tell you, you go to a local farm, you might be able to find better prices because less transport, they butcher the cow and then they wrap it in the thing, they put it in the freezer, and then you're good to go. But it's also, organic and healthier. Here's the thing about cereal. I'll tell you this. I've long said, people are eating too many carbs. And I think I certainly believe that's true. Most people's diet is like pure carbohydrates. And so I was doing low carb for a while, but in the full transparency. So I bring in this trainer the other day and we do upper body workout. I never do upper body, only ever skate. So I'm like, not very good upper body. I think I benched like 165, and it was like 1, and it was like, okay, I think that's where you're at. And I'm like, right, I'm not going to pretend to be good or strong upper body. But he gave me my macros. He's like, here's what you got to eat. It's like 280 carbs per day. I'm like, I've been eating like 20. Because, to be fair though, I don't do heavy activity like I used to. And so I certainly think Americans eat too much. They eat too many carbs for a sedentary lifestyle. That being said, I actually think, I'm going to try this out and we'll see where it goes. But perhaps the real issue is more protein and more exercise are the real things most Americans need. And I suppose I would view it like, yeah, if you're sedentary, you should have more protein and way less carbs. Eating a bowl of cereal is insane. You're getting nothing but carbs. You're like almost no protein, maybe the milk in it or whatever. But anyway, here we go with the health stuff again. Let me just put it this way. Yo, the reason the Kellogg CEO said this, because he knows people can't afford it anymore. Do you think a father pouring a bowl of Fruit Loops for his children for dinner is a proud man? He's an angry man. He wants to know why it is he cannot buy his children chicken breast and give them a good meal. Because he's trying. Not everybody. Certainly there are some dads who are just like, here's a bowl of cereal, shut up. But I know that there are a lot of dads out there who are pouring a bowl of cereal and saying, something ain't right. I am not making enough right now. The cost of steak is too high. What is happening? Well, mass illegal immigration is putting a drain on society. Bernie Sanders said in 2015, open borders will make your nation poor. And that's what we're seeing right now. It's a fact. The American people, man, the younger generation, you got to wake up to what this means. You'll eat the bugs. They're going to say, you need protein? I got some bugs for you to eat. And I wonder what that father is going to think as he's pouring a bowl of cricket for his children, saying, it's all we can afford. But you got to eat your protein, son. In fact, I'm sure he would be much more proud to say, I got my kid a steak. Not a filet mignon or a ribeye. Maybe just, I don't know, marinated flank steak or something, or a T-bone, something from the grocery store, not too expensive, but good red meat for their kids. And you don't always want to just do the red meat. You got to throw in something else. Some chicken is pretty good. But a bowl of cereal for breakfast? Man, it's not looking good for Joe Biden. Because anything you say, uncommitted, too old, none of that matters. It's the economy, stupid. And if people feel like they can't live, come November, they're going to say, don't know, don't care, give me Donald Trump. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.